Time is being stolen from all of us. Absolutely. Especially if you're 72 years old.
The White Witch of rock and roll has always had a musical compass that points to true north. Stevie Nicks, the twirling, shawl-draped icon who gave Fleetwood Mac its mystical edge before carving out one of the most successful solo careers in rock history, has always championed artists she believes deserve more spotlight than they've received. Welcome to another episode of Hidden Gems Music Edition, where today we're exploring Stevie Nicks' personal list of the most criminally underrated bands in music history. The raspy-voiced songstress behind classics like Rhiannon and Edge of 17 has never been shy about acknowledging the artists who move her soul. Music needs to be honored, Nicks reportedly told Rolling Stone in 2019.
If the relationship could continue to be as good as it was when we first met.
Not just the songs that get played on the radio a million times, but the ones that change your life when you discover them at 2 a.m. And for Stevie, these 6 bands did exactly that. From backstage encounters to late-night studio sessions, Nicks' relationships with these overlooked artists reveal her deeper musical sensibilities beyond the mainstream success she's enjoyed. Some of these bands you might recognize, others might be revelations, but all of them have the Stevie Nicks seal of approval. So wrap yourself in your favorite shawl, light some candles, and let's count down the 6 bands that Stevie Nicks believes deserve a much bigger place in the musical pantheon. Her insights might just change your next playlist, and maybe even your life. 6. Haim. Coming in at number 6 on our countdown is a band that Stevie has taken under her wing in recent years, Haim. The trio of California sisters, Estee, Danielle, and Alana Haim, blend classic rock influences with modern production in a way that immediately caught Nicks' attention. Their connection reportedly began when Stevie attended a Haim concert in 2013 and was struck by their harmonies and stage presence. "I saw myself in them," Nicks allegedly told a journalist backstage at the Grammy Awards. Not just because they're women in a male-dominated industry, but because they write from the heart without compromise. What reportedly resonates most with Stevie is Haim's approach to songwriting. While they've gained moderate commercial success, Nicks believes their musical depth goes largely unrecognized. "Those girls understand that the space between notes is as important as the notes themselves," she reportedly told producer Greg Kurstin in 2017. "That's something you can't teach." The relationship blossomed when Nicks invited the sisters to her home in Los Angeles, where they allegedly spent an evening trading stories and songs. Industry insiders claim Stevie showed them handwritten lyrics from her journal and told them, "This is the real work. The rest is just business." Despite critical acclaim for albums like Women in Music Part the Third, Haim hasn't reached the commercial heights their talent deserves, according to Nicks. "Sometimes the best bands are the ones that don't fit neatly into marketing categories," she reportedly said at a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame event. Haim isn't just retro or just modern, they're timeless, and that confuses the industry. For Stevie, Haim represents the kind of authentic musical storytelling that transcends trends, even if mainstream recognition hasn't fully caught up to their artistic achievements. 5. The War on Drugs. At number 5, we have Philadelphia rock outfit The War on Drugs, a band whose sweeping, atmospheric soundscapes reportedly captured Stevie Nicks' imagination from the first listen. According to close friends, Nicks discovered the band in 2014 when their album Lost in the Dream was playing in a boutique in Nashville. She allegedly asked the store clerk to write down their name and purchase the album that same day. "It was like hearing Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, and Bruce Springsteen filtered through a dream," she reportedly told her longtime assistant Karen Johnston. What particularly captivates Nicks about The War on Drugs is frontman Adam Granduciel's approach to guitar textures and production. "He creates these landscapes you can get lost in," Stevie reportedly commented during a radio interview in 2018. "It's the kind of music that makes you want to drive all night with the windows down." The admiration apparently became mutual when Nicks sent Grand du Ciel a handwritten note after attending their show at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. According to sources close to the band, the note read in part, "You're carrying the torch for the kind of rock that saved my life as a teenager. Don't let anyone tell you guitar music is dead." Despite critical acclaim and a Grammy win for their 2017 album, A Deeper Understanding, Nicks believes the band hasn't received the widespread recognition they deserve. Sometimes the most important artists are the ones making albums rather than singles, she allegedly told Cameron Crowe during an interview for a documentary. The war on drugs creates full experiences in a singles-driven world, and that's both brave and rare. For Stevie, the war on drugs represents a commitment to musical craft that rises above trends, creating works that reward deep listening in an age of distraction. 4. Little Dragon. Our number 4 spot belongs to Swedish electronic outfit Little Dragon, a band whose genre-defying approach reportedly earned Stevie Nicks' deep admiration despite their relatively modest commercial profile.
Like $1 million is heartfelt overflowing.
Nicks' discovery of Little Dragon allegedly came through her goddaughter, who played their album Ritual Union during a visit to Stevie's home in Phoenix. According to friends, Nicks was immediately entranced by vocalist Yukimi Nagano's unique vocal style. "She makes me feel like I'm floating and grounded at the same time," Stevie reportedly told a producer friend at a dinner party. "That's the hardest thing to achieve as a singer." What particularly speaks to Nicks about Little Dragon is their willingness to blend electronic elements with organic, soulful performances. They're doing what Fleetwood Mac tried to do with Tusk, but taking it so much further, she allegedly commented backstage at a festival where both were performing in 2019. They're experimental without losing the emotion. The connection deepened when Nicks reportedly sent the band vintage scarves and crystal necklaces before their performance at the Hollywood Bowl, a gesture Nagano confirmed in a Swedish magazine interview, saying, "Stevie sent us these amazing gifts with a note that said, 'From one magical band to another.' It was surreal." Despite collaborations with artists like Gorillaz and Anderson.Paak, Little Dragon remains relatively unknown to mainstream audiences, something Nicks reportedly finds baffling. In a fair world, they'd be headlining arenas, she allegedly told her band during tour rehearsals. They create their own musical language, and that's the hardest thing to do. For Stevie, Little Dragon represents the kind of fearless creativity that transcends commercial considerations. Artists who follow their musical instincts rather than market trends, something she's always valued above chart positions. 3. Big Thief. Sliding into the number 3 position on Stevie's list of criminally underrated bands is indie folk rock quartet Big Thief, whose raw emotional honesty and musical intimacy reportedly struck a profound chord with the Fleetwood Mac songstress. According to music journalist Ann Powers, Nicks discovered Big Thief when their song Paul came on during a yoga session in 2017. Stevie allegedly was so moved that she remained on her mat after class, asking the instructor for the band's name. "I haven't heard anything this emotionally naked since early Joni Mitchell," she reportedly commented. What particularly draws Nicks to Big Thief is frontwoman Adrienne Lenker's unique songwriting approach. She doesn't hide behind metaphors or pretty words, Stevie allegedly told a songwriters roundtable in 2020. "She just opens a vein and lets it bleed all over the page. That's what I tried to do with songs like Landslide, but she takes it somewhere even more vulnerable." The connection deepened when Nicks reportedly sent a handwritten letter to the band after their album UFOF was released, praising their artistic courage. According to guitarist Buck Meek in an NPR interview, the letter included the line, "You're making the kind of music that reminds people why they started listening to music in the first place." For Stevie, Big Thief represents the kind of authentic emotional expression that transcends commercial appeal. Artists who prioritize truth over accessibility, much like she did when fighting to include deeply personal compositions on Fleetwood Mac albums. 2. Khruangbin. In the runner-up position on our countdown is the genre-defying trio Kang, whose instrumental prowess and global musical influences reportedly captivated Stevie Nicks' imagination despite their relative obscurity in mainstream circles. Nicks' introduction to the Texas-based band allegedly came through her longtime guitar tech, who played their album Con Todo el Mundo during a sound check in 2018. According to band members present, Stevie was immediately drawn to their unique blend of Thai funk, Middle Eastern rhythms, and psychedelic rock. "Who are these people?" she reportedly asked. "They sound like they're from everywhere and nowhere at once." What particularly fascinates Nicks about Kang is their primarily instrumental approach and visual anonymity, with bassist Laura Lee and guitarist Mark Spear often performing in wigs, keeping the focus on the music. They're doing something I've always respected but could never do myself, letting the music speak without words or personality to prop it up, Stevie allegedly told filmmaker Cameron Crowe during an interview. The connection deepened when Nicks reportedly invited the band to her home after discovering they were playing in Phoenix during her birthday week in 2019. According to sources close to Kang, she showed them her extensive vinyl collection and told them, "You're carrying on a tradition that's almost forgotten, creating mood rather than just songs." For Stevie, Kang represents a return to the album-oriented approach to music making she grew up with. Artists focused on creating immersive experiences rather than isolated singles, crafting sonic landscapes that transport listeners to another place entirely. 1. First Aid Kit. Taking the crown as Stevie's most criminally underrated band is Swedish folk duo First Aid Kit, sisters Johanna and Clara Söderberg, whose haunting harmonies and vintage-inspired songcraft reportedly earned Nicks' highest praise and deepest musical kinship.
Having no idea who or what or where I am. Something good comes.
The connection began in 2014 when First Aid Kit released their tribute song, Emmylou, which references Stevie and her former partner, Lindsey Buckingham, alongside other legendary musical pairs. According to Nicks' longtime friend and backup singer, Sharon Solani, Stevie was deeply moved by the homage. She listened to it with tears in her eyes and said, "These girls understand the legacy they're part of." What particularly resonates with Nicks is the sisters' harmony approach and storytelling sensibility. They sing together the way only siblings can, Stevie reportedly told a music journalist in 2017. "There's a blood harmony there that reminds me of what I heard in my head when writing for Fleetwood Mac but could never quite capture." The relationship blossomed into a mutual admiration when Nicks invited the sisters backstage at a Stockholm concert. According to Swedish newspaper Aftonbladet, Stevie told them, "You're doing what I would have done if I'd started out today. You're the daughters I never had, musically speaking." For Stevie, First Aid Kit represents the preservation and evolution of the folk rock tradition she helped define. Artists who honor musical history while creating something entirely their own, carrying forward the legacy of storytelling through song that has been Nicks' lifelong passion. And there you have it, 6 musical treasures that carry Stevie Nicks' golden seal of approval but haven't yet received their due from the wider world. From haunting harmonies to experimental soundscapes, these are the bands keeping musical magic alive in the underground. Which of these hidden gems will you explore first? Drop a comment below.